So a trip to Wembley awaits for Aston Villa. They've booked their place in the semi-finals of the FA Cup after beating Preston 3-0 in the quarter-finals this afternoon at Deepdale. A professional job. The first half was not a great football match. Preston, to their credit, frustrated Villa. Villa not really making too many goal-scoring opportunities, but once Marcus Rashford opened the scoring not long after the restart for the second half, then Villa found their stride and they turned the screw. Rashford then scoring from the spot after Rodgers was fouled, and then Ramsey scoring a really nice goal to make it 3-0 to Villa. That means that Villa will play Crystal Palace in the semi-finals. In my opinion, probably the hardest one. It's really difficult. I was going to say the hardest tie, but you're looking at Forest and thinking that would also be a really difficult tie. City, for obvious reasons too. I can look to more reasons why Villa would have more joy against a team like City. Forest obviously defend very well, and Palace have had Villa's number in, well, at least recent meetings, and that's what matters, because Glasner came in not so long ago. They obviously enjoyed a fantastic end to last season, Palace, and then this season, slow starters. They got a result at Villa Park in the League Cup, which was one of a few in the first few minutes of the campaign. But since then, they are picked up. Turn of the year, again, similar to last season, really. They started it earlier than what they did last season in terms of getting results. But 6 wins away from home, which I think is a club record for them. No goals conceded in that time. They've got a fantastic 11. I think in everyone's opinion, Mateta, Munoz, fantastic wing back. The system they play seems like a kryptonite for Villa. They, as I say, beat Villa at Villa Park earlier this season and thrashed them at Selhurst Park twice. Obviously last season the 5-0, partly because Villa were on the beach. However, they may well have lost that game even if they had to try and secure Champions League on the final day last season, because of course, as we know, they lost 4-1 a few weeks ago now. Villa obviously drew level through Morgan Rodgers in that game and then defended really poorly. But Palace at Selhurst Park, yeah, they're a good side at home, but actually away from home, that's where they've been better. So it's difficult because it's obviously going to be played on a big Wembley pitch. So there's not a whole lot you can take into it. And again, we're so many weeks away. Is it 4 weeks away, I think, from this game? Palace have Brighton, Bournemouth, Newcastle. Some difficult games coming up for them, and their match against Arsenal would be moved. But yeah, I'll go back to the game against Preston shortly, but it's hard not to look forward after getting the job done and now knowing what's to come. Obviously the other semi-final will be Man City against Forest. Really intriguing game. I think if you get to a final, you get to the final. And Villa, just the Palace game is a really difficult test, because, as I say, Emery, put it this way, he hasn't worked out exactly what Glasner's putting on the pitch in the last few games that they've played against each other. Obviously Villa drew 2-2 at home to Palace, and yeah, they maybe could have won that game, but equally could have lost it. Devaney and Sarr that scored at the whole end in the first half, I think, that caused problems on the break. So what you would say is that Villa are due a result against Palace, and because they've scored quite a lot of goals against Villa, well, surely there's enough there to devise a game plan by Unai Emery, one of the best coaches in European football, that he can stop that from happening again. At least you'd like to think so. And I don't know, Villa played in a different kind of way at Selhurst Park to what they usually do, and I guess you'd say it worked to a point when Morgan Rodgers equalised, but then after that they did collapse defensively. But again, this is a semi-final of a cup competition played at Wembley in a few weeks' time. Lots is going to happen before then in terms of what Palace do, injuries, whatever. Villa, the same thing. Maybe there's different form that we're going to go through between now and then. But looking at what Palace were doing last season in terms of when they clicked, and in the final weeks of the campaign when the pressure was off, they really were flying. It seems to be that's what they're doing now. And of course you'd say as well, Villa are at least now in the Champions League. They are in the hunt for European football. Palace are not. They are they're not in the hunt for European football unless they win almost all of their games really remaining. So the FA Cup will be their full focus, I've no doubt about that, which isn't great for Villa, but at the same time Villa have experienced these big occasions, not in terms of cup competitions and going far in them, but European nights, and when the stakes are high and pressure and all of those different things. There's big occasions, they have experienced them, not at Wembley or in domestic club competitions, but some of these players, you look at Yuri Tielemans banging in a winner against, was it Chelsea for Leicester a few years ago to win the FA Cup. Obviously Rashford's been in this situation, Asensio has won things, you can kind of go through it. Martinez has won countless trophies with his nation, and of course the FA Cup with Arsenal, so a lot of experience on Villa's side. Palace, off the top of my head, I don't think many of those players have won things before, but ultimately it's a 90 minute, possibly longer than 90 minutes, but Villa will be hoping to do it in normal time as such in this semi-final. How do I put it? There's enough there to suggest that they will probably go into the game as favourites, maybe just about, of course, because of league standing, but also, as I say, the experience and what they've got in their squad. Nothing against Palace, though, as I say, I've given them lots of credit in this video already. I will shut up about it now. Preston today, not going to talk too much about it because I think it's pretty routine. Villa, we said it in previous shows, if they turn up and play to a good level at some stage, then they'll be okay and they'll get the goals in their power, they will overpower Palace. That's exactly what happened really. First half they were just sort of getting into the game and dominated territory, didn't create too many chances, but then slowly they started to turn the screw, and that was that was always going to be the reason why they were going to win this game, in my opinion. You have to credit Preston. I'd never thought going into this game Villa were going to wipe the floor with them or anything like that. Didn't feel like that would be how it was going to play out, and it didn't. And in the end, Villa fans were singing 5,638, I think, fans that travelled today. Well, at least that was the allocation that was sold out. Kesara after the opening goal, and then shortly after that, Rashford. So a double in 5 minutes for him, and then 6 or 7 minutes after Villa's second, then Ramsey gets the third, and the game was done before that third goal, it felt like. Obviously great for Rashford's confidence. Emery, after the game, I asked him directly, is this going to propel him into kind of a greater level now? And he said that there's more for him to do and more weeks for him to get it, which I thought was interesting, because he's essentially thinking that Rashford's got more levels to go through, and I think we understand that and agree, but also we're in a few weeks, you're looking at an FA Cup semi-final, and after that it's the last few weeks of the season. So how do I put it, Villa are yet to see the best of Rashford, which is also exciting, but equally they're going to have to make a judgment on this £40 million clause that they have to buy Rashford permanently. At some stage Emery was asked about it in his presser again. He said no, not yet, we're not talking about that, we're not don't want to waste time talking about it. This is what he said as like a direct quote. But it goes back to my point of, if we're not seeing the best of Rashford yet, and maybe that's later on in the season, maybe that'll be what kind of tips Villa over the line to thinking, we need this player because he's won us the FA Cup, or because this is his 5 goals at the end of the season and pushes us back into the Champions League. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe that's all wishful thinking, but this is a player who we know is capable of these moments. I don't actually think he had the best game apart from his goals. I think you can say that about a few of the players today on the Villa team, but again, I don't think that's like a big criticism, because they got the job done, and that's all that matters. He scored twice, but again, because you know what the level he can play at, sometimes you want him to do that little bit more, because he can. Jacob Ramsey for me was actually man of the match today. Quite a few moments for him. A nice goal in the first half. He's picking up dangerous pockets, taking the ball in, can play well, winning fouls. Preston struggled to pick him up, really. He played off the left, Rashford down the middle. I don't think Rashford likes playing in that position really, but Emery again kind of didn't praise necessarily his versatility, but the proof is there that he is versatile because he plays in different positions, but more so his attitude to continue to adapt and learn exactly what Emery wants from him. Asensio played as the 10, Rodgers off the right. Kamara was fantastic again, kind of tick that box after every game. He doesn't really dip below a 7. after every game. Gave him an 8 today, just nipping him with crucial tackles, winning the ball back, recycling possession, all of that. Fantastic. One of a few players who can do that at such an elite level in the Premier League for sure. Mate Cash thought had a good game at right back today. Kamara dropping into a 3 when Villa are in possession, something that we've seen a lot of under Emery in general. Contra Mings, yep, solid. That's another clean sheet now for 3 in a row. I think for Villa, maybe 4 in 5 matches. And Luca Dean, again, playing well. There was a moment at the start where he's given the ball away to Will Keane, I think, in the box. Tielemans does, I think, well, actually not to make the foul. If Keane's dived, though, why is he not being booked? I'm not sure. I didn't have a monitor next to me, so I didn't see any close-ups, but I assume that was a great decision because there was VAR, obviously, today. But apart from that, one kind of blot on the copybook for Dean. A good game. I think he had 1 assist, maybe 2, because I think he threw the ball to Ramsey, didn't he? But does that count as assist? I'm not sure. Either way, another strong display from him. One of Villa's players of the season for sure. I think at the moment Tielemans is probably it. I think he's now started all of Villa's 43 games in the FA Cup, Premier League and Champions League. It's remarkable. Especially when Villa signed him and there was question marks over his physicality and over his ability to last 90 minutes, let alone 43 of them over the course of the season. And of course, well, as I record this, we're in the end of March. We've still got another two months of the campaign left, or just under that now. So, by the way, the depth that Villa have in attack, remarkable, really. I mean, Watkins should have scored at least once. But I'm sitting there in the press bench thinking, wow, Marlon's coming on. Bailey's not even in the squad. Other players are coming on. You kind of forget who. Then McGinn came on. There's a lot to remember. And then, Watkins was obviously on as well at the time. But you forget just how much talent is available to Emery here. So, going into the game now against Brighton on Wednesday, Emery said that we need to now be calm and respond. I don't think there'll be kind of a hangover of happiness as such, because I think everyone expected us to beat Preston, and now that we've done it, it feels like, okay, job done. You're like, fantastic, we go into Wembley, and as I said in the podcast, I hope it's a bit of a party atmosphere in that way, and it definitely was, throughout really. But when Villa got the job done, you have Nana doing his celebrations again. Now he's back in the squad and fit. Of course, it was Disasi that was cup tied today. Barkley, hopefully in training very soon. Maybe he'll be okay to play against Brighton. I say okay to play. Maybe he'll be in the squad. But Villa's squad is so big now. There's no space for everyone, and Bailey missed out because presumably, he flew all over for Jamaica. So coming back was probably the easy decision to leave him out. Garcia coming on, the depth is incredible. So you're hoping that at least the majority of that squad can stay fit. And there's obviously some absolutely crucial players in there who you can't get injured, because you can't replace them in the team. But Villa have serious numbers. Going into Brighton, where was I? On Wednesday. Brighton obviously have a couple of injuries. I think Rutter and Webster picked up injuries. They'll possibly be on a downer because they were knocked out by Forest on pens. That went the distance, but Wednesday is a fair distance between the two games, Saturday to Wednesday, so I don't think there'll be a huge hangover for them. Villa won't be anticipating that or kind of relying on that. They need to go there and do a job, because it feels like the Champions League and FA Cup have almost taken a kind of a step forward almost, because we've only played one game in the league this month, a 1-0 away win against Brentford. But now you've got to get back in the saddle, and this is the Premier League, your kind of bread and butter. It's the one competition which Emery says at the start of every season, this is our first objective, to finish well in the Premier League, get European football. So like Rashford saying after, we want to go far in the cup competitions, but also get top 4. And because of the games Villa play, Brighton, Newcastle, Forest, City, other games, Fulham, Bournemouth, they're playing all the teams that are around them, not all of them, but most of the teams that are around them, jostling for these positions. Well, they'll all be 6-pointers. It's just that Villa needs to win the majority of them, which is going to be a big task, but we're here for it. Villa are in a semi-final of the FA Cup, first time in obviously a decade, last beating Liverpool in 14-15. they won that game, but the Arsenal game felt like it was always going to be a step too far. But they're obviously a pretty poor side back then. Now it feels completely different. We can beat anybody at Wembley. I mean, anybody in terms of any English team, not just the ones that are left over in this competition. And it so happens to be that the ones who are left over, City, there's weaknesses there. Palace, I believe, are in the bottom half of the table. But as I said for about 5 minutes at the start of the video, you know, that's not going to be an easy game whatsoever. It's going to be the absolute opposite. Very difficult, and not looking forward to us playing them, but looking forward to the day, and obviously the excitement, of course. But Villa will need to have a better mentality than me about being scared about playing Palace, and more of a we're good enough to beat anyone, because that is those are the facts. And yeah, hopefully then a final awaits after that, and you're looking at Forest or City. Forest look good for the top 5. They should be there, should get that. So I don't think there'll be a kind of huge shift in terms of their focus, as long as they don't slip up though in the next few weeks. But the final is it shouldn't be anywhere near our mind. The Palace game, well, actually even that is a long kind of time away now, and as I say, there's lots of games that are going to be played before then, lots of possibilities for injuries, etc. So yeah, focus has to be now to Brighton, and then it goes where are we? Brighton, Forest at home, PSG away, Southampton away, PSG at home, and then is it Newcastle at home, and then you're looking towards that semi-final at Wembley. So yeah, it's going to be a really exciting end to the season. I think Villa have done the job that everyone expected them to do, so credit for that. And now we know that Palace await a team that we, as I say, earlier, we owe Palace one here. So what better place and time to do it than to have an FA Cup final on the line for it, and not just an FA Cup final and feel like that's you've almost done your bit and you can enjoy the day. Now Villa, this is a great opportunity to win silver. This is it. So yeah, nothing more that you'd want at the start of the season than to be in this position of semi-final FA Cup with a great chance of winning it. Well, I say great chance. Villa can do it. Champions League quarter-final, and within a shot of the top 5 of the Premier League still, albeit with difficult games. But yeah, a good, a fantastic afternoon for Villa. But the game's going to come thick and fast, and we will be there.